bringing Gator Nation a different Gator great every episode.
This is Jabari Gaffney, and you're listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
Hey, I'm Rita Anthony.
This is Kewan Ratliff.
Hey, I'm Carlos Alvarez.
This is Jeff Dempsey.
This is Ricky the Rocket Natil.
This is Brandon James.
This is Cedric Faison, a.k.a. C4.
This is Taylor Jacobs. Go Gators.
This is University of Florida Gator great Lewis Oliver. Lock us in, guys.
Hey, I'm Earl Everett. If you're not a Gator, you're Gator baby.
Only Gators get out alive.
Hello, this is Eric Rick. Go Gators.
Hi, this is Ernest Graham.
This is Chris Doring.
This is Jaden Ball.
Hey, this is Trace Armstrong.
This is Brad Culpepper, and you're listening to Best Podcast on the Air.
Hey, guys, this is Jarvis Moss.
You're either all for the Gators or you're not.
Go Gators.
You rocking with Lito Shepherd, and we're all for the Gators podcast, man. Top notch.
And now, your Gator alumni hosts, John, Andy, and Sid.
Back for another episode. Gentlemen, Andy, Sid, how you doing?
Oh, wonderful. Having a great summer. How about you?
Pretty good. Do you guys get all gussied up for this podcast? You know it's audio only, right?
Well, I naturally look good in any room I walk into, so you'd be amazed how much behind-the-scene work gets done to make this look good under the hood.
All right, so
gotta have a Gator shirt on or something. I got my Jordan for today for our guest today.
There you go.
Nice.
I see how you're doing it. Sid, you got your Gator basketball shirt on?
I do. You know,
Nice.
I love me some hoops.
Yeah, I got nothing. I got
nothing. All right.
Plain Jane Gator shirt. That's all I got.
Oh, I thought you were telling us you're going commando. I'm like, John, this is a family show. It's not that kind of gig. but all right. I'm glad we were able to clarify that for all our friends at home.
So last week, we expanded our scope, if you will, right? We went out to Gator basketball, and we had...
Nope.
We went out to... Hold on.
That might be a good idea for a future show, or just put it out there.
Gator baseball.
Oh, that sounds right. Yes.
Yeah. Mike Zunino, MLB All-Star, 3-time All-American at UF, was our first Gator baseball guest.
Great show.
And the show exploded. Did awesome. We look forward to getting more Gator baseball, former Gator greats on as well. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, because speaking of Gator baseball, Pete Alonso just broke the New York Mets all-time home run record held for 37 years by Darryl Strawberry. So that's pretty cool.
Wow. That is cool.
The polar bear. The polar bear.
Hate seeing him do that.
For sure.
As a Yankee fan, I got affection for Strawberry, but I'm kind of sorry his name's getting bounced on the top of the list there. Obviously, his best years were in Shea and not in the Bronx, but always had affection for Darryl and appreciated his contributions to those titles in the late 90s.
Absolutely. But now, a Florida Gator holding an all-time home run mark on an MLB team. Pretty cool.
Well, if Darryl has to go down, couldn't have been a better dude to take him down. So that is very cool. Go Gators. Well done there, Mr. Alonso. It's summertime. We were talking about baseball, boys of summer, but I have been
prepping. Have content?
I accidentally did show research and I didn't even know it.
All right. He's all hyped up for today. He's all hyped up for today's show. This is his wheelhouse.
Yes, but this actually doesn't tie into that, but I am very excited about that because I do love me some Gator hoops, and you are on the right track there, Andy. But as you well know, I'm very excited about the upcoming football season. I participate in a great deal amount of fantasy football and listen to a number of podcasts, but I don't limit it to just the scope of the podcast about fantasy football. I also listen to podcasts about my favorite pro team, the Jets. And I know you guys get a little squeamish when I go to the Jets, but this actually ties home. Okay? Undrafted free agent Jamarcus Weston for the Jets. And you might recall, he was kind of like our Cordell Stewart, a slash, if you will, where he played a whole bunch of different positions when he was a Gator.
Right.
Wide receiver, safety, linebacker, edge rusher. And edge rusher is technically what he's being labeled as a Gator. As a Jet, excuse me. But the Jets don't have a great roster, and this is an excellent opportunity for one of our undrafted free agents to land a spot. And I've been hearing on 2 separate podcasts them raving about him, specifically, easy for me to say, his gunner skills on special teams, saying, and they say that his college coach said all along that he is going to have a long career as a gunner, and he might have found that spot on the Jets. And he is apparently the best special teams player the Jets have, and has a good shot of making the squad. So always excited to see the Gators going on to the NFL, especially those ones who got to take that longer route, being the undrafted free agent. And the Jets clearly thought a lot out of him. of him because they gave him a $200,000 guaranteed contract, which is a
Wow.
lot for those.
All right.
So very excited to see. I get particularly excited about those Gator Jets, as that is my fantasy football name in all my leagues. So very excited at the prospect of Jamarcus Weston being the latest, greatest Gator Jet out there. Hopefully, future friend of the show. But Andy, you're absolutely right. I am very hyped about this show, John. Why don't you tell us who we got coming on this week?
Guys, today's guest is nothing short of a true legend of Gator hoops. It all started down in St. Pete, where at Dixie Hollins High, he went on to break the Pinellas County scoring record and be named to the All-Southern State team. He took his talents to Gainesville, where he played for college basketball Hall of Fame coach Lon Kruger and was a big part of the Gators' very first Final Four run. He'd go on to play 12 years of professional basketball all over the planet, like a skyhooking superhero, earning all-star recognition, leading leagues in scoring, even winning a championship. Gator Nation, I give to you one of the Gators' first dominating forces. Standing 6'7", 290 pounds, you could pretty much write him down for a double-double every game. One of the most prolific scorers to grace the shiny hardwood of the O-Dome, a true pioneer of Gators basketball. With number 35 on his chest in the orange and blue, the meat hook, Dametri Antonio Hill.
Good intro.
Yes, sir.
All right. We're going to basketball now. I love it.
So cool to have you on with us today. Thank you for taking the time.
Hey, thank you, guys. That was great. That was a nice introduction. Almost got me ready to go suit back up.
That's it. Start stretching.
There you go. Hey, Dametri, let's take it back. You were born in St. Pete, grew up there in the 70s, early 80s. Who got you into basketball as a kid?
Hey, well, sports was a big part of the community. And then, so about 4th, 5th grade, I just started getting interested in sports, football, of course. But then, I was a big kid, so I couldn't, play Pop Warner. So the next best thing was basketball. So I went out one morning. My stepdad took me out and just showed me 2 basic moves: drop step left and drop step right. And then after that, I just fell in love with the game and started playing all the time. And then it took off from there.
At this time, late 70s, early 80s, you being a big man, were you like a fan of Kareem or more like Moses? Who did you kind of model your game after?
Well, of course, it was Magic and Bird. You understand?
Oh yeah.
That's when I, became a fan of the game. Before then it was just on TV, but Kareem, of course, definitely Moses Malone, all those guys. And then, of course, someone similar, to my build was like Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Especially in college when he went to Auburn. So I watched a lot of film on that. So he was incredibly skilled and, fast and agile and everything like that. So those were some of the people, that I tried to pattern my game, after, growing up.
Your signature hook shot earned you the nickname that John mentioned in the intro, the meat hook. Did you get that from watching Kareem? I know you mentioned Kareem a second ago and his famous sky hook. And then I got a second part to that question. Did you like the nickname?
Love the nickname.
It's a good one.
Too bad. University of Florida did me a disservice with that. They didn't teach me, copyright law.
Yeah, trademark.
That's right.
Yeah, it was great. And I got the hook shot. It was actually R.C. Buford. Like, we was doing a lot of drills, and I just we do a lot of hook shots and things in the drills, and then so it was a couple games that I just did the hook. And it was just going in. It was unstoppable. And then R.C. Buford, who is now, the GM of the Spurs.
Runs the Spurs. Yeah, a lot of championships.
Yeah, he came here and said, Coach wants you to shoot your hook shot more. I said, not a problem. So, and then when I seen why, because it was efficient. It was pretty much an automatic bucket. And anytime we needed to score, I knew it was coming to me, and that everybody in the building was expecting me, to shoot the hook, and it was went in. I was, one of the field goal leaders, also in the SEC, by my time at Florida. So
Sure.
It was a blessing. It was an awesome run. I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. And the life lessons learned, and the friendships and the connections. hey, it's an invaluable experience, and I'm just glad, that I, was fortunate enough to be blessed to have that opportunity.
The meat hook, what kind of NIL deals do you think you'd get if you were in school today with that name?
Right?
Oh my God.
Beef jerky, so many possibilities.
Butcher shops.
I went to a couple Gator games this past season, of course, and I went through the player parking lot and with the cars and things, and I saw the SRT,
Oh, yeah.
the wagon. I would have pulled up to the game in a spaceship, a rocket, something like that. Yeah, these are not even the starters. You understand? So everybody is serious. It's about time. You understand? Because it saves a lot of headache. It gives other schools that weren't paying back in the day, to level the playing field out. So as you see, that's why some of these old school coaches stop coaching because now you can't have the big schools come in and get a recruit and just pay them $100,000 and you come to this school. No, you pay them 100,000, then the other school around the corner can give them 400. So it's and now you can do it legally. So the rules have changed. Now you have to see who can really coach and who was just really a good recruiter, at the school. And so times have changed. The players have more power now. Coaches have to kiss ass. You understand?
Yeah.
Because you want to keep this player here. It's something you don't want to do. You can't make him do it. You're not gonna get him up at 5 o'clock in the morning and run him to death and talk about being on the track. No, he gonna tell you to kiss his ass. Yeah, and I'm gonna go to the put him in the portal. You understand? So and then if you luckily to recruit right in the portal, now you got to manage all that because these are like professionals. So they're here to do a job, and then so you have to treat them as professional men now. These are not college kids anymore. The landscape has definitely changed, and the length of time you can stay in school. Like I couldn't imagine being in college as a 26-year-old man. Like the Houston Cougar team, I think everybody on there was at least 24, 25. One was 26. I'm like, Jesus.
Were you a Gator fan growing up in St. Pete? I mean, this was before the Gators kind of had a run of the state. Were there any other programs you were considering? And how exactly did Coach Kruger seal the deal and get you to come up to Gainesville?
Oh, it was easy. It wasn't Coach Kruger. It was actually the assistant coach, Ron Stewart, rest in peace. He was my guy. So he was the one I had the relationship with. He was honest with me. I came up there on a few unofficial visits. They treated me nice. It was good. And then my official visit, my host was Dan Cross, my dear friend to this day. It just made
Point guard, right?
Yeah, he was the point guard. But
yeah,
I had other. I tell the story a lot. I had other big schools that recruited me. Georgetown was definitely up there because I had good grades. Notre Dame was in the picture, and then late Kentucky came through, Syracuse. So, I could have went, bigger, but what happened is I went to practice at the University of Florida, and and the first thing I said was, I can play here. Yeah, the competition is not as great here. So, yeah, I don't see none of these, whoever they got coming in, going to beat me out. So I can compete with these guys. The other team I had maybe wait 2 or 3 years to, play because they had all McDonald's All-Americans and everything like that. So, and they would have been paying those players to come to that school. So, I wasn't, highly ranked, but, I was a, pretty good competitor and skilled. So I just put that up against everybody, but especially, making my decision of where I was going to play in college. Yeah, I went to a Florida Gator practice, and I was like, I can come here and play right away.
When you get there as a freshman, you get about half the games you play, like around 60 minutes. How did you handle kind of going from a star in high school to you're kind of a young role player at that point in college? What was that transition like, and what did you learn from it as you went on, to have the career that you had at Florida?
Yeah, I learned that first off, all coaches lie. You understand? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, our coach, get a fair chance, fair shot, all this here. But when you get there, they have their system. It's their job to win, and they're going to win, the way that they feel most comfortable winning. And he didn't feel comfortable putting the fat kid from St. Pete out there on the court. You understand? So I had to go ahead, humble myself, and get to work. So, and that's what it was. Of course, I thought about transferring. There was a lot of, teams that called them, mid-major and, a couple other schools like Wake Forest and things like that. But I just said, let me get the work in. We went to Australia over my, between the freshman and sophomore year, and I played a lot there. And then I got in great shape over there because I didn't eat any of the food in Australia because it was nasty, especially at that age when you only used to certain types of food. Want to eat baked beans and ham for breakfast. So yeah, Australia. We was over there for 3 weeks. We played 8 games against pro teams over there. We went 4-2, and then I was a starter during that time. So that just solidified my position for the upcoming season. When we went to the Final Four.
Your freshman year, did you see that team was going to be able to put something together? Maybe not a Final Four run at the time, but did you see the potential?
We were all talented, but no, I'm not gonna lie to you and say, yeah, I just knew what we know. The key to that team was the coaching. And we bought into the system, and the glue to all that was RC Buford. Like he was a pro. Like, so we saw, as when he did the scouting for the other team, he did it as a pro. When we watched video of the, to scout the other team, we did it like the pros do. Everything was, on time, professional, had a meeting, no wasted time, no energy, and we working before practice, we working after practice. So the real reason we went to the Final Four is because, yeah, we were talented, but we weren't overly talented. We just competed and outworked everybody. And, I was definitely the surprise, probably of the nation. You understand? Because, they was like, where did he come from? And so the seniors on the team before was like, well, why did they just play you when we was here and we maybe could have went to the tournament as well? So I was like, well, that was above my pay grade. I didn't have no choice in that, man. You understand? Because they saw the way I was playing in practice. You understand? So having success against all SEC players, and it was frustrating. But then I didn't let it, bother me because I knew once he put me in the game and it meant something, I was never gonna sit again. And that happened when we went to the NIT my freshman year, and we played Minnesota, and he had to, play me, and then so I went out there and played good again. We lost the game, but I went out there and I played good off the bench, and then so like I said, after that we went to Australia, and then I got better, and then come season time 1993-94. I was just ready to play. I didn't care what position you put me in. I just knew I was going to be on the floor and I was going to play and I was going to play well.
Well, play well you did. You start in all 37 games. You go on the first University of Florida Final Four run, going 29-8. But I got to ask, like some of our younger listeners probably think like the modern Florida basketball started under Coach Donovan, a little later after you left. Do you ever feel like you're kind of overlooked? I mean, you guys were the first Final Four team. Do you kind of feel like you guys don't get your due with some of those other successes that came after you?
Well, we set the bar high. And
you did.
And Billy Donovan, Coach Donovan, he came in there and he did his thing. And I have nothing but the greatest, respect for that man. Is the way he ran his program, the way that the players love and revere him and respect him. As we saw when we came back to the dedication for, the court ceremony.
His name's on the court for a reason.
I mean, yeah. He stand up for what he believes in, and he gets it done. I mean, and he was the one, on my way out my last year. He did our senior banquet. My line went to Illinois, Coach Donovan, he did the banquet. And then so, that was his introduction into University of Florida basketball. My senior banquet was his first, welcome to UF moment.
Talking about the Final Four, you dropped 16, 19 rebounds against Duke. Tell us about 9 rebounds. Sorry. Tell us about facing Coach K, Grant Hill, and the crew that was on that team that night.
Until you threw the ball up, it was a bit, you were in awe because you got the one of the probably, if not the greatest coach in college basketball or just coach period of all time over there, on the sideline. Everything's his team is a well-oiled machine. They have the history. They have Grant Hill. So, they have the best player on the court. And they had a tradition. And then, with Duke, you always have to worry about, are you playing against the referees as well? But once we were the type of team that we didn't care who you were, what your rankings were, who your coach were, what your girlfriend looked like. We didn't care about none of that because we was gonna come and hit you in the mouth first. And so then we want to see if you want to fight. And a lot of teams didn't want to fight. They just wanted to play basketball. And so, if you just want to play basketball and we want to fight, we're going to beat you most of the time because it's going to come a point to where you're going to have to fight back and then it's going to be too late. The game is over. And then,
were you battling Cherokee Parks?
Yes.
That game? Yeah.
Yeah, I tore his ass up, but yeah. Yeah. And I still have more points. I missed some free throws, you understand? And it was a great game. I mean, Grant Hill showed why he was, player of the year, all pro NBA player. I mean, he was a level above everybody on the court and you could see it. But like I said, we competed and they couldn't guard me on the post. So that just, sunk their whole defense, into the paint. And then our shooters, we made shots. And then, at the end of the game, we didn't make shots. We got tight. But when it came close to the point, like, oh, we can really do this. And of course, they made adjustments and everything. They went to a trick defense on us. And we didn't handle it well. And they made their run and came back. And then after that, it was a possession game. And then we came down to one possession and we missed a shot.
From a team perspective, that was probably the highlight of your Gator career there. But your senior year, 95-96, you really make a mark in the SEC. You finish 7th in scoring, 5th in rebounds, earn all SEC honors. You finish your Gator career with 1,376 points, which was 14th all-time on UF's all-time scoring list. And, although you guys weren't able to achieve the success of that 94 Final Four team, how do you feel 30 years later, looking back, how do you feel about your stellar Gator career?
It was great. I mean, it was, when you put it like that, it was unexpected. Nobody seen it, including myself. And I wouldn't trade it. I mean, came back. Jeremy Foley was a man of his word, told me to go play basketball. And when I'm done, come back to school and get my degree, which I did. And he was a man of his word, true to it. And I have nothing but, love and yeah, Gainesville is my city. UF is, that's my school. I mean, yeah, to this day, I go back, I support. I love it when teams are doing good. I talk shit when we suck. And it's just, we're passionate about it. And all my friends that went to UF, we're still close. During the football season, basketball season, we all, stay on chats together, get together, watch the games, go to some of the games. So, yeah, it's still much a part of my life and in my daily existence. That's, how a lot of people remember me even to this day with the gray beard and everything. Yeah, when it's the meat hook. When I go back to UF, it's the meat hook.
That's right.
It's yeah, it's just a part of my life. It helped mold me to who I am, and I'm very grateful.
As the big hoop fan of our show here, I have lots of questions about SEC time in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Obviously, coming out of the 80s, Big East always being on ESPN, ACC, it seemed like they got all the attention. But there were some seriously good teams in the SEC at this time, too. You got the Arkansas championship team, Kentucky, coaches. You mentioned playing against Coach K. You had a face in the SEC. You got Pitino and Dale Brown and Nolan Richardson and so many star players that went on to great success in the NBA, like the Monster Mash and Allen Houston and Sprewell and Ori. Like, what can you tell us, like from your time and the caliber of competition? Clearly, you held your own pretty darn well about them. What could you tell us? Some of your tales for some of these wars from these matchups you had back then.
Kentucky, it was. I only beat them once, and they were always stacked. Some great games, though. Great games, especially the Final Four year when we beat them in Gainesville, and then when we lost to them in Rupp, we had them. We were leading the whole game, and they just came back and wore us down because they were deep. You got
a lot of players went to the NBA from those Kentucky squads.
Well, that was the 95 team. I think the Water Boy went to the NBA from Kentucky too. Yeah. Antoine Walker and Delk and McCarty and Shepard and that team that was almost unfair. But 95 that was 94 that was our year, and we beat them. But SEC, you had LSU, like you say, Coach Dale Brown. Then you had South Carolina had Eddie Fogler,
Eddie Sutton.
Then Vandy. They were always tough in Vandy because that's just a funky place to play. Ole Miss, I hated going to Starkville. I hated going to Arkansas was rough.
Scotty Thurman, Corliss Williamson, they had some real good teams.
Yeah, Corey Beck. They had great teams. Like I say, even with Joe Harvell down at Ole Miss, he give you 40. Then Tennessee with Allen Houston. Then you also had Georgia with my freshman year with Laterro Green. They had some teams, and then of course the Alabama team with Hollywood Robinson,
Robert Horry.
Well, Horry, they left the year before I got there.
Oh, that was a little before.
Yeah,
okay.
But Hollywood Robinson was there, and he was every bit as good as advertised. So night in and night out, then Auburn had great teams. So it was tough, especially on the road in the SEC. It was definitely tough, and you had to bring it every night, especially against McAfee and McDyess. And then you had, the other kids from Georgia with Shandon Anderson. And then, like I say,
he played in Utah for a few years.
Yeah, and the Knicks and Miami. So I think he won a championship in Miami. So it was loaded. And then when we stepped out of conference, we also played the Purdue's. We played.
Was that Big Dog Robinson?
Yeah. They put it on us pretty good.
He was a hell of a player.
He was a grown man.
That's Glenn Robinson.
Yeah. Glenn the Big Dog Robinson. Yeah. He was the player of the year at Purdue.
Right. We were in El Paso at the UTEP invitation. It was Christmas time. Coach Kruger always had us in sweatsuits and shit. You understand? So we all looking like everything. So we all in the lobby. We got our whack ass Gator sweatsuits on. And so Purdue walks through the lobby, living in the same hotel. And these cats have furs and minks. The Big Dog had a mink. He had a dragging to the floor. I was like, oh my Lord, we about to the shit beat out of us. I was like, if they feel like they dressing, we are in trouble. It was Matt Painter was on that team, the coach there now. So yeah, that was a stacked team. I think they went to the Final 8 and lost to Duke my freshman year.
Yeah, but they won a couple of Big Ten championships in a row though in that era under Gene Katie, if I remember correctly.
Gene Katie, good man. He coached me in the NABC All-Star game. So yeah, when you sit down and talk to him, he doesn't do all that yelling. And so it was good man.
All right, so not your proudest moment there in the hotel lobby with Purdue, but if you look back and you had to pick, what comes to mind as one of your proudest moments in the orange and blue?
I say after we beat Boston College and we was on our way to the Final Four and we landed back in Gainesville.
What was that reception like?
Oh my God. It was like 10, 15,000 people outside the airport, and it was surreal actually. And so the only thing we was thinking was like, let's get back to the dorm, put all our shit away, and get in the city.
Very nice.
So, what's that like when you're advanced to the Final Four? You have all the excitement of winning in the Elite Eight, and then you got to wait a whole week. Is it like, do you feel like you want to ride that momentum, and while you got the energy going, wish you could play right away, or do you kind of savor that week and enjoy the whole experience and kind of marinate in it as you get to do the whole hoopla of going to the Final Four, shining moment stuff?
We just had that one night, and then the next day was back to business. And so, Coach kept it. We got practice. We had to go to class. You understand? But that was different. There we get a standing ovation when you walk into, your criminal justice class. You understand? Yeah, that's a little different. But
real student athlete.
Right. but yeah, had the practice, had the treatment. Treat it like a regular game. But then, when we got to Charlotte, that's when we saw the next level. You understand? But that whole week in Gainesville was actually kind of stressful because you had all the people on tickets, and then you had all these extra people that were on campus, trying to scalp the tickets. Then you had the agents sending their runners trying to see if you're going to leave early or you go into stuff that I did not ever think about. You understand? And then, trying to, just get caught up in a lot of stuff. So, it was a little stressful, and then we just glad we had that solitude that when we go back then it was the O Dome, and then just get a little peace and quiet.
You played with a lot of great players in your career there at Florida. I mean, you mentioned Dan Cross earlier, right? He was a leading scorer that time.
Right.
Craig Brown, 3 points. You had, of course, the big man, Andrew DeClercq. You mentioned you're still close with Dan Cross. Anybody else on that team?
Everybody.
Those teams you're still close with?
Yeah. We get together, at least once a year. So still to this day, we'll be up there in September the 22nd. When we have the reunion in Gainesville.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah.
What?
Families raised together, kids close. So that right there is priceless, and that's worth every suicide I ever ran at UF, every snake in the stadium, every Gator Mountain. Only the athletes would know about the Gator Mountain. But yeah.
Who was the biggest troublemaker of the group?
It depended on what day, you understand, but I, and I was with him a lot too, so it could have been me, but me and my roommate Brian Thompson, we used to always get into a lot of mischievous things on the campus. A lot of it. I'm glad we didn't have social media and all these damn camera phones and everything back then, because the narrative would be a little different, right?
Yeah. Can you give us a story with some of those guys? And I'm not talking about like in the games and tournaments and stuff, but just a lesser known story maybe Gator Nation would appreciate.
Oh, well,
that you can share, of course.
It was tell you one time when my ex-girlfriend tried to run me over on campus. So
Whoa.
Yeah, it was just one night, it was just a night to remember, breaking up with one girl and you're with another one, but the other one don't want to let go. And so it was after a game. I had a freshman, it was my senior year. I had a freshman, my junior year. I had a freshman in my room, LaRon Williams. He was, I was staying, at my girlfriend's place. So he could use my room because he was sharing a room. You know, freshman, you got to share your room. So I got an empty room. You can have my room. So my ex came up to the room, knocked on the door. He opened the door and let her in, and she took damn near everything out the room.
Oh.
So I gets back to my room. I'm like, where all my stuff? Then so he like, hey man, I was like, and you let her in? You let her take it? He's like, yeah, man. She had a hand behind her back. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh, she scared your big stupid ass. I got to go to her house to try to get my stuff back. And then, so mind you, we got practice the next day. So then I get back, so to no avail, I come back to the dorm, and she is there at the dorm in her car, sitting, like in the dark. You understand, like some old movie type shit. And then so I look, and I'm like, oh, and it's right at Yon Hall. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So then I look in her car, and all my stuff is in the back seat. So I like, okay, enough, stop playing. Let me get my stuff. This is. So then we start arguing, and then so I might have said something that I shouldn't have, and she tried to run me over.
Wow.
And to the point to where she was backing up and tried to do it again. I had to run behind a tree. So yeah, and then so Dan Cross heard the commotion, and he was like, okay, I'm coming down Hook. And so he ran downstairs because he didn't know what it was with a 2x4. He seen who it was, and then so he was like, hey man, give me stuff back before we call the cops. And then she sprinted off. And then long story short, I had to go over there and eventually got my stuff and then come back. And then when I come back to my dorm, now my new girlfriend there asked me what's going on. So yeah, it was crazy.
Looking back at your career, you had a great college career, but for whatever reason, you went undrafted in the '96 draft.
Right.
Did you expect to get drafted? Did you any idea what happened there?
At least second round, you understand. I knew the first round was stacked because a lot of underclassmen came out early, but I was like, I'm at least one of the top 60 players in this year. You understand? And I didn't, and I had an option because at that time, RC he was at San Antonio by then. And so they even brought me out there, and I worked out. I spent maybe a couple weeks out there in San Antonio, and this was during the summer before I had to make a decision to make. Was I going to stay and go to camp with the Spurs or go to Israel? And so I chose, to go to Tel Aviv because I was broke. So, and then they offered me, six figures coming out of UF. I had to take it. So, and then at that time I had a daughter. And so, yeah, that was just a no brainer. Now, hindsight's 2020. Hey, because the player that they kept was a player that I felt, was similar, and I was like, they was just looking for a player like that, and I was just, didn't have the wherewithal or some the guidance to say, just suck it up for a year, and then you can be in the league. So, but my career was good overseas. I had a great time, and yeah, in hindsight is 2020, but I made the most of my career in Europe.
Definitely did.
Yeah.
You led the league in scoring one year, your first year there. What were some of the differences in playing overseas as opposed to the hoops that we know here?
I mean, the language, a lot of language, but basketball is universal. You understand? It's just a lot like math. You understand? So, a lot of kids, come over to the States have to, take a certain test to get in. They always, take the math portion and pass it because, it's universal. So it's similar to basketball. Just a couple rules different. The only major rule that's different than our game is you can just a live ball when you hit it off the rim. Once the ball hit the rim, it's no goaltending. You can knock it off.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, but besides that, after that, it's 3-point line's a little shorter or whatnot, and then the lane's a little wider in Europe. So, but it's just basketball, and if you can play it, You can pick up stuff. You're receptive. You know, you got to be a quick study, you know, to play for all those different teams. And just, you know, some of the coaches didn't speak English. So you had to get out there and learn. But, you know, most of your players did. So, you know, they translate for you and then you can get through it like that. But, yeah, that
Did
was
you stay in Tel Aviv in the off season? Or did you come back home?
1 year. Well, I always give me about a couple weeks, you know, just a little R&R after the season. So but Israel, Tel Aviv was great.
I love that city.
The nightlife, the food, the beautiful women. Yeah,
The Mediterranean. It's an experience.
Oh my God. It's not a secret, but it's still a secret because for obvious reasons it's not as popular as it should be. You understand? Because you never know when it's going down in Israel.
Right.
You understand? I'm just not talking about what's going on now. You have day-to-day stuff that goes on that, you know, you have to always keep your head on the swivel. Don't do certain things. You know, they give you a list of stuff when you go over there. I played 2 years over there, but Israel, fun place. First year was great. Second year our team wasn't that good, so it was a little tough. But the overall experience and in Tel Aviv and just Israel as a whole, hey, it's very adaptable with the language, so it's easy, you know, to get adjusted. And it's similar to living in the States and like Florida because of the climate and the weather.
It is.
So it's beautiful. I had nothing but a great time in Tel Aviv.
You played in 7 different countries. Which one was your favorite?
Oh, I would say France. Yeah, France. 3 years in France I can say I became a grown man in France. That was
What? Why is that your favorite?
It's just the culture, the lifestyle, the sophistication they do. You know, it's I like the way they do their thing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It fits me. You know what I mean? They don't work too hard. They play hard. You understand? It's just we gonna get it done. Okay, when we get it done, then when we need to work hard, we will. You know, but then we're gonna drink this wine, eat this cheese. Then we got this food over here that's amazing. Oh, okay. Then we got some work to do. We're gonna go to practice. All right, let's go. Then they have the different sides too. You know, the nightlife, the culture. You know, I know the Dame. I've been to Champs-Élysées 1,000 times. So, and the history and the rivers, the river sands, the boat rides, the Eiffel Tower. So just the whole thing. And then when you go down to the south, you hit Monaco, Antibes. So yeah, I could live in France. It's a good place.
How was your physical stature as a pro, living in all these different countries with all these different cuisines? Did you stay? I mean, did they have you on physical programs to keep you more lean, or?
No, you just become lean. I mean, the Wikipedia put me on the 290, but that wasn't until like my last couple seasons when it was at the end. But I was always playing around 260, 270, and that was just because over there they don't, even eat like the way we eat in the States.
Right.
So when you're
smaller portions,
but even the stuff they put in the food here, they don't do over there. So, every time I used to come back, from Europe, people used to be like, "Man, how you get so?" It's exercise, but it was also diet. And then contrary, when I came over here and finished playing, it's just start home eating every day and wasn't exercising 3-4 times a day. It catches up. It caught up quick.
12-year pro career all over the planet.
Right.
We know your career at UF, your high school days. Do you have a favorite shot?
Yeah, the hook.
No, well, I don't mean type of shot. I mean, do you have a favorite shot you made in your illustrious career that in your heart of hearts, when you think about your career, maybe 2 or 3 pop up? What are they?
It's a couple game winners. My senior year, I hit the walk-off game winner against Tennessee. That was
Okay.
that was a great feeling. I remember that one.
Love it. Always good to beat the Vols.
Yeah, the free throws I hit to seal the deal to beat Kentucky. Those were big. And
That's
then
huge.
in Europe, I had a few game winners, but my championship run, it was like game two, and we needed they made their little run, and we was going on. We was on the road, and so I heated up on like 17-0 run myself. So that was
Nice.
that was good. I had some good guards though. At the end of my career, when I lost a step, my guard play got a lot better because I could still score, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't defend anymore, and that's when I knew the end was coming near because I was always a lockdown defender, and it was to the point to where nobody went at me. But then my last 3 years, everybody
Start hunting you.
I'm like, I'm getting hunted. And then I stop nobody? Oh my God, this is bad. Okay, it's the end. Yeah, then you notice it in your legs. Offensively, you can still do it, but then it's just I was like it's time.
You mentioned winning a championship in Slovakia.
Yeah.
And you've played in 7 countries, as Andy pointed out. What can you tell us about the caliber of competition? Like where was the best competition in which league, and where did you feel like it was a little lacking, and you were able to have your way with them a little easier than you expected?
I mean, Europe was just pretty easy overall, but the best ball I say that I played was it could have been Israel was definitely up there because they have a great league, and the Euro League competition is another whole competition outside of the competition that you play in your country. So you're playing against the best teams in other countries. You understand? So that's a separate season in itself. So although your the country that you play in, you may be on the best team and you win most of those games. When you go to the Euro League, you're playing against pretty solid
Other
players.
super teams.
Yeah, all prospects and everything. So anything coming from Russia, any of those Yugoslavian teams, the Serbias, the Croatias, they was always tough. Germany would always bring, a good team. And then and France. So, France France was a tough league. It was up and down league, but it was tough because you have the most athletic league is definitely France.
Did you encounter any stars out there that came here later? Did you run into Tony Parker before he came to San Antonio or something when you were in France?
We played against the Petrus brothers. We played against Boris Diaw.
Oh, real good player.
We played against. Well, they was all youngsters. So, and then it was a 7 foot. I forget his name, but they was all youngsters. They growing up. You understand? Digbu. A lot of those cats over there that came over to the league later, they started, as youngsters playing against professionals.
So let me ask you, from all the levels you played in, who kind of give me your top 3 guys you played against that stick out in your mind when you look back at kind of your career? Who were those guys that you're like, man, those were some dudes?
Tim Duncan.
That's a safe answer.
that was the dude. That USA select team. I was an alternate on that team, so that was I practiced and everything, and so just wasn't fortunate to take the trip, to Japan where they ran through everything. But that team there, that was a nice team. But outside of that, because we played Wake Forest, we played them twice, so we beat them in Greensboro, and then we lost to them in Gainesville. So my senior year, so that was tough. But overseas, it was a lot of great Europeans, and then a couple ex NBA players. Randy White was tough. Buck Johnson was tough. Milt Wagner, Billy Thompson. So Billy Thompson, he was a dirty player, and he was a passer. You understand? He was a preacher, but would bust your lip. You understand? So yeah, he played in Jerusalem. I was in Tel Aviv, so I was a youngster. You know, like you say, leading the league and scoring and everything, coming in there trying to get everybody 30. And yeah, one time going up for a rebound, this first time he hit me in my mouth. I'm like, what? So I want to fight. So now my head is out the game and he did his job. But so second time I didn't fall for it. He tried it, and then so we wound up beating him in Jerusalem. But those were a few games. A lot of things that I've seen, a lot of things that I would have never seen, like going to China and seeing the Great Wall of China. And you don't understand what's big until you go to like Asia.
Right.
1 billion people with no space and everything, and everything has to be, like up. You have to build up, like just 200-300 story, 100-story buildings. That's nothing.
How do you say giant in Chinese? Is that what they were calling you?
Yeah.
No. Over there, I wasn't, overly tall.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, you do have the little small Asians running everywhere, but then you have 7 foot just walking around like it's normal. Changing light bulbs. You understand?
Yeah.
So yeah. The Asian community is mixed because a lot of people have mixed with their culture. So they're like basketball players. Yeah, they have a lot of tall players playing all 6'9", 6'10". So I was just pretty much average height, but of course the skill set and then just the way my physical play, that was just something that they weren't used to.
How does it feel watching the Gators hoist up the national championship trophy 3 times now, knowing you were part of the team that laid the groundwork for the program to prosper?
Hey, it feels great, and they still recognize us as part of that. It's especially the people that came up with me, that was in my era, that watched, that was there when we made our run. They always talk about this reminds them of us. So although we didn't host it, but just to get there and the unexpected journey that we did, it was something like winning a championship. But this last one with that team, man, that was awesome. That was
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
and,
A lot of
and
close, exciting games.
and shout out, to the head coach. You understand, Golden, because without coaching, we wouldn't have had this national championship. Like and I'm critical, especially of coaching, because I've been coached by some great coaches, and they coach you hard, because great players want to be coached hard. That is true. You understand? Want to be held accountable. You understand? Because the freedom that we get on the court, you understand, we have to earn that. So, Golden, those adjustments that he had when he took Clayton out the game and then let Will do his thing, and then Martin with Howe, Holmgren. I mean, whoo, yeah, that was that was impressive. Like, I hope we can keep him, because I know some people in the association is looking to snatch him up real quick. And he's under 40. You understand? So, whoo, that's elevator up.
So, what are you up to these days since you hung up your sneakers?
Just having fun, being the best normal person I can be. But no, I'm not coaching. I was never had the desire to coach, because I tell everybody, if I was a coach, I couldn't coach myself. It took a certain type of coach, because I was gonna give it to you and you had to give it back, and then we're gonna win games. And that's and then as I got older, it got better. But yeah, the young me, oh my God, I was a handful. And the only way you can control me was sit me on the bench, and that's what he did my freshman year. But the overall experience and everything with that, is something that you put into your everyday life. Because now, just up until a few months ago, I was working nonprofit, homeless veteran services. You understand, and doing that, and with single families, taking them out to shelters, put them into, they're setting them up in apartments and things like that, wraparound services and that right now. So that was what I was doing for about the last 7 years, and then so now I'm just doing taking me a little break, doing my little Uber, and it's working. I love it. I actually, prefer that than going into the office. And I didn't know how much money I could make until, I started doing it. And I was like, people, I see why, because when I used to do people's income and they would come in and say they drove Uber and they were over income, I was like, you make all this money, you make $75,000 driving Uber? And they was like, yeah. I say, oh, let me look into this.
What would you do if you got an Uber call and it was your ex-girlfriend?
Cancel. I would definitely cancel. Yes.
She's not getting a good rating, John.
Yeah, and a complaint. And she's going to leave something in the car, so I have to bring it back to her. Yeah.
The leave behind.
Right.
Oh, man. Dametri Hill, the meat hook, Gators basketball pioneer, absolute legend. My sister was actually at the University of Florida when you were playing basketball there. So I was following your career when I think I was in middle school at the time.
Okay.
Honored to have you on. And we've been doing this podcast for over 3 years now, and we've had on Spurrier and a lot of the Gator great football players. And we just started to expand out, and we had Mike Zanino on, who played baseball.
Yeah.
We had you on to represent basketball. So we're looking to, expand and include all Gator sports. And, one last question I had was the basketball program was on the way up when you were there. Obviously, the first Final Four ever. But so was the football program with Spurrier coming into town around the same time. What was that like being in the university at the time of the football programs, coming up? You're part of the basketball program. What was that experience like?
Hey, well, shout out to Coach Spurrier and, Ed Rett, especially at that time.
He came on and told us some crazy stories, that's for sure.
E-Rett used to walk around. E-Rett had Rottweilers, pythons, and piranhas in his damn dorm room. So, he was a wild man. But at that time, because we all lived in Yon Hall, every athlete besides the ones that had their, apartments off campus, like like Danny Warfield and all that. We lived in Yon Hall. So we was around, we ate together. You understand? We on, second floor, third floor. That's the athletes' floor. So we got a haircut. So when we made our run, it was like Florida is always a football school. But when we made our run, the football team embraced that. You understand? So we made a lot more, lifelong friends on that football side because we were good in basketball and we didn't have no beef. We weren't fighting over chicks. We weren't, you understand, like it was all love. Now all that other stuff came later. But while we were there, my 4 years, it was nothing but love and we had fun and we still communicate to this day.
Oh, that's awesome to hear, man. Yeah. Dametri Hill, it's been an honor and a pleasure. We do a closing bit on the show at the end. Are you ready?
Okay.
Since we haven't had Gator basketball on yet, it's going to be pretty simple. We're going to ask you to give us your Mount Rushmore of Gators basketball players.
Oh, okay. Are y'all ready?
Yep.
Yeah, bring it.
All right, first and foremost, and they need to get this man all his records back. They need to stop playing with him because, they gave him money and he was going to take it. But Vernon Maxwell.
Yeah.
Max.
All right. So I'm going to go with who? That's tough. I will go with Joe Kim.
Good choice.
I will go with wait. Gotta go with Neil Walk. Gotta have him because he in the NBA forever. And yeah, so that's probably the best one. But then you have to go with I gotta throw Walter Clayton Jr. up there.
Won us a championship.
Gotta throw Walter Clayton, and then I'm gonna be biased, and I'm gonna go with Udonis.
Love Udonis.
Yeah.
UD.
I'm going to go with UD. So,
right,
so they did work, and accomplished a lot even after, University of Florida.
Absolutely. That's 5, but you're 6'7", 260 plus. I'm going to let you have 5 on your Mount Rushmore. You're the only one we've allowed this for.
Okay.
Well, we're doing hoops, so it makes sense to have 5. So I think he's on the right track there.
Yeah. There we go. Time for 4th then. There we go.
All right, Dametri Hill, Demet Hook, absolute pleasure and honor. Thank you for taking the time to do our show. Appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem, guys. Thank you for having me. Hey, go Gators, and let's see what this football team gonna do in a few weeks.
Oh yeah,
that's right. It's coming,
man. I hope so. It's been a minute. I hopefully we can get this going the right way. Looks good on paper, but let's see how it looks when we toss it up against somebody for real.
Sounds good. All right, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, later, guys. Bye.
Who was number 3? Who was number 3 on his Mount Rushmore? Did you guys get that?
No, I didn't recognize the name.
Andy, got anything?
Nope. Nope. It was the best one, though.
Well, he said he's been in the NBA forever. Maybe it was Horford, and we just couldn't make it out because Horford's like on a 20-year career. I don't know if there's been any Gators got more games logged in the NBA than Horford.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he called him by his nickname Tito, and that's why we didn't make it out.
No, he said Neil.
He said Neil?
Neil Walk. Here he is. Probably the greatest Gators athlete that most Florida fans have never heard of.
Oh, okay. That's right in line. Okay. So impart some knowledge on us, buddy. Tell us about Neil Walk.
All right.
When did he play? Who did he play for?
An American college basketball player and center in the NBA for 8 seasons during the late 60s and 70s. And he played out overseas afterward. He played college basketball for the University of Florida.
He played for the Knicks.
And remains the Florida Gators all-time rebounds leader. Sid, how do you not know this?
Because he played in the 60s.
All right, fair enough.
70, yeah. He played, I'm looking at it, he played 69 to 74 with the Suns, 74 and 75 with the Jazz, 75 and 76 with the Knicks,
Those
77 and
Knicks
78
teams.
Overseas, and 78 to 81 overseas.
Well, I apologize. I could talk SEC basketball 90s all day long, but I am definitely lacking in my SEC 60s basketball. So I will brush up on that for next time.
He was the second overall pick in the draft.
Hey, he made the Rushmore for a reason then. Good pick. You got to respect the Bucks call.
2-time All-American, 2-time first-team All-SEC, and he led all of college in rebounds in 1968.
Wow. Well,
his number 41 is retired by the Florida Gators. That's my 2 bits right there. No walk.
Good job. All right, I dig it.
Take a guess who went. So he went second in the draft. Guess who went first?
In 1968?
69.
Might that be Lou Alcindor?
How about Pistol Pete?
That's correct.
Oh, Lou Alcindor.
Lou Alcindor. Yep.
Nice.
Very good, Sid.
You might know him as Kareem, John.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Known for his hook shot.
Yes.
Oh, thanks. All right.
He also was pretty good at martial arts. I've seen him fight Bruce Lee. Quite enjoyable. Game of Death. Check it out.
All right.
Oh
2 bits.
2 bits.
Who's up?
I'll go.
Go for it.
I enjoyed hearing his experience international and how I called him like a citizen of the world, but the way he was talking about embracing the culture at all the places and I think that's amazing to go from the Middle East and Israel to go to Portugal and France to go to China, starting here in the States, just a culture shock. I mean that is very impressive in any career to be able to travel the world like that and find your footing in an unfamiliar terrain where your native tongue is not spoken by everybody. And I got a lot of respect for the courage for a young. If I was 22 and had to go to the other side of the world, watch out, that would not have been well. So I got a lot of respect, and clearly he made the most of it. And I kind of enjoy that. And I have an appreciation for his appreciation, how he was talking about the history of the places he was going and how it really seemed like he embraced where he was going. I enjoy traveling, try to go someplace new every year. And I really enjoyed that aspect of our conversation beyond the hoops. I thought that was pretty cool.
You're pretty tall. You couldn't play in some of these leagues overseas?
I'm slow. I am tall, but I am slow.
All right, Andy.
All right, I'll go next so you don't steal mine because you brought it up during the interview and I was thinking about it. So I think my 2 bits is he played in the wrong era when you think about off the court financial gain opportunities. Like I said, John mentioned it, but man, NIL, the endorsements. He said not even trademark. I mean, he missed
Sonny's
he missed some
Barbecue could have been
financial
featuring the meat
opportunities.
hook out of Gainesville.
That's right.
My gosh, imagine that.
Just was in the wrong era, man. Now you make a lot of money for a lot less these days. So,
all right, sir. All good stuff. All good stuff. My 2 bits. Neil Walk, greatest Florida Gator athlete of all time.
Love it. Love it.
Now we know. He educated us. I love it.
We learned something on this show.
Awesome.
Yep, he was great. So we had you're doing
a
good,
great
man.
show.
We had an awesome first baseball guest. Now we had an awesome first basketball guest. I will say one more thing though. I gotta say I love the new logo.
Yeah.
So I want to give props because I really love it. So wherever John puts this logo, it's out there. So you guys can go find it. You should check it out.
Good deal.
That's the VP of social media footprint pointing that out for us. Thank you very much.
Right. I don't know where it is, but it's out there somewhere.
All right, guys. Hey, so I asked you this about baseball. Let's end with this. After we did our baseball episode, so we did basketball with the meat hook. If you could have any Gator basketball player on next, who would it be? Andy?
I would probably say UD.
Nice. All right, Sid?
I got mad love for UD, but I answer this very, very easily without hesitation. I'm a huge David Lee fan. Loved him when he was a Gator. Loved him when he was an all-star for the terrible Knicks. He was giving us 20 and 10. I saw him live plenty of times. Loved it. And he's done all right for himself off the court if you've seen Mrs. Lee. So David Lee, pretty good guy. Great hang. Loves to come on the show. Come on, Dave. Let's talk.
What was that creepy reference to his wife at the end? I'm leaving it in. That's good.
We can't have John's because he would have Neil Walk, but Neil Walk passed away, unfortunately. So who else do you have?
Who would be Neil Walk?
Tough one.
And Mike Miller. It would be Mike Miller.
Mike Miller was pretty awesome. Yes.
Yeah. And Miller and UD do a podcast.
Do they really?
Yeah. I think it's called the OGs.
All right. Well,
so
I'll have to check that out.
Maybe we could collaborate one day. We'll see.
Oh, well, that would be cool.
We'll just show them our logo. You know? Maybe we'll get some merch done.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Tattoo the logo on our arm.
As always, it's been a pleasure.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.